this Savant guy?
Who is he?
Why are we even talking about him?
Why?
Seriously, I'd like to know.
So would I.
Sonic Squeeze, coming up next. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Seattle experimentalist Kerry Lima and his retrospective collection of songs from his 80s studio project, Savant. The bulk of these songs were made between 1981 and 1985, with an exemption, is that a word?
Yep.
Sweet. Of 3 songs at the end of the album, which were made between 2009 and 2014. Which is, interesting. Let's dive straight in. Artificial dance. James. Using words.
I don't know how else I was going to describe it.
Sorry, the name of the song is Using Words. I also would like him to describe it. Using words.
I actually really liked it.
The percussion over this whole album.
Whoa, you're not James.
Let him finish!
The percussion.
No, let him finish, James!
The
The percussion, yeah.
Over this whole album was so awesome. James, what did you think of the percussion?
I thought that the percussion over this whole album was...
Over the...
I actually think that over the whole album.
We're doing that whole say the same thing.
Yeah, let's stop.
Awesome.
Drum sample's good,
Yes.
No, I think they were just real fucking drums.
but it was repeated throughout the whole thing and they sound exactly the same. I'm pretty sure they were sampled.
Nah. Fact. Moving on.
Well, the drums sounded good.
What if you were to give it like a time span of how long the drum sounded good for? Like over a space of what would you say it sounded good for?
Sometime between the start of the song and the end of it.
Okay, like over the whole album?
Something like that.
I would describe the music on this album as experimental ambient funk dub.
Get out.
How would you describe it?
I would describe it as experimental ambient funk dub. Duh.
Funk dub?
No, I would go experimental electronic jazz. I actually felt there were some jazz elements going on.
I could see it having jazz
everything
elements.
that was kind of playing with it. I'm not going to say everything that was playing with itself.
Well, you just did.
So, every time that something is brought in, it's doing something simple and it's trying to work as well as it can with whatever else is going on. And this happens throughout the entire album. And this song in particular does it incredibly well. And all of the sounds, and there are a lot of different samples and stuff going on in here. All of them are wicked, and they have wicked effects on them.
You know why you should appreciate it even more?
Why?
Is because a lot of this is using tape compositions. So it's using all kinds of
Samples.
Huh? I know a musical word. Yeah, he's taking he's actually cutting up the tape, stitching things together, using tape composition stuff. Where you'll reverse it. There is one over there. You'll reverse the tape, or you'll slow down the tape and record it again, and it sounds fucking amazing. It takes a lot of fucking love and care and attention.
A lot of time, which is why it started in 1918. Is only
Yeah, it's just being released now.
Yes, 29 years later, here we are.
I love the guitar touches all over this. It never goes as far as a melody.
No.
It's always that kind of atonal, little bits of colour, little bits of and you're like, oh, hey, whoa there. That's a nice little touch.
There's a lot of very choppy keys and bass stuff as well.
And vocal snippets. And
yeah. But the bass lines throughout the whole album. The album is full of these funky bass lines.
Yeah.
And when the bass line comes in on this first song, I'm like, okay, now I'm in the groove.
Yeah.
Now I'm with it.
It's real good.
And it kind of carries on in that vein
Track.
throughout the whole album.
Indifference.
I'm indifferent about it.
This has
I like it.
the funkiest of funky bass guitars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It has wicked bass. It has some really interesting kind of timing things going on with it.
Dude,
Pads and synths galore.
First things first. I'm the realist. Yeah. But first things first. Sick fucking beat, man. When I heard this, I was expecting MF Doom to come in and start doing a fucking verse on it. Because it reminded me a lot of Governor by, JJ Doom track. It was because it was so wonky and weird and it's fucking fucking hip hoppy and awesome. James. Indifference.
Liked it.
Neither
There was
here
some
nor
really
there.
nice like choppy guitar going on as well through it.
Yeah. Go.
And there was like a looping outro bit which I thought worked like really well.
Yeah. Fucking tape, man. Fucking tape.
Tape is the
It was
shit.
cool as shit. The Neo-Realist.
That's probably one of my favorite songs in the whole album.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's got this kind of menacing dub bass line running throughout, and with this kind of narrative from this crazy guy who
South
thinks he's
African
Jesus
dude,
or
right?
some shit.
A lot of the things on this album, I felt the only problem with them is they're very old school in that they run on for a long time. And some of these songs start to drag at points. But they're always fully awesome the whole way through. But sometimes you've heard all the awesomeness, you're like, okay, you could do something else now. But this one, because it had the sort of narrative thing going within it, even though it was sort of probably one of the least varied song of all of them, it just had that awesome bass line of instruments. And then it just kept doing that, and the vocal just sort of carried the time it was on for.
And as soon as the vocals dropped out, percussion came in to replace it, and it was wicked percussion as well.
Do you ever get worried that, like, all the people making music back then just believed everyone listening to their music would be on drugs,
Yeah.
and it would
little
like
bit.
transform the music into this
Perhaps.
amazing masterpiece of awesomeness?
So, like, it's fine. People will have plenty of time to get into the music. They'll need that much time because they'll be
this
off
isn't
their
a, this
face
is a
on
fucking
some
this
sort
isn't
of
just music. This is an
weird
experience.
substance.
Shadow in Deceit.
I think also one of the best tracks on the album.
I think this had the coolest bass line.
Upbeat and chaotic, but then it kind of finds a uniformity when they introduce what I think is like a processed steel drum kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it sounded like sort of steel pans a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, I said I was at this Gamelan concert last year, and this is how I imagine that would have sounded if all the players was tripping balls, just really fucked.
I'd
on
be
acid.
surprised that they could keep time.
I wouldn't.
But
they
this
were
was
fucking
probably the most
practiced.
melodic song.
I think this song also was one of the nicer progressing tracks.
Yeah. The second section goes on a bit too long, but the first section progresses real good. I would have liked if, like, nearer the end of the second section where the bass has dropped out and it's more high stuff, the bass would come in again.
Yeah, the fucking
that would be
Maybe
the
that's
bass.
just not what he was going for.
It probably isn't. And he probably has his reasons. But
I feel like the bass is so important in all these songs. Bass
Yeah.
guitar, and the bass guitar changes from song to song.
Yeah.
Like it's probably a sample, which is probably why. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice little fucking bass guitars.
I
all over
really
this.
enjoyed that song.
And
It
also
had
there was
some,
like a pedal steel sounding thing, but I
Yeah.
think it could have just been a guitar with someone with a
There
volume
were,
pedal or something.
yeah, there were like guitar swells and pads, strings, and even just like plucking the guitar strings sounded really cool.
Yeah,
And it was all
it's-
done very tastefully.
It's very trance-like. If you're into meditation, go for that shit. Shadow and Deceit.
Deceit.
Yeah. But anyway,
Track 5.
The
If you want-
Shining.
If you want a bit more brightness,
Whoa.
from the shadow, you go to a shining.
Oh, I see.
The Shining Hour.
The Shining Hour.
This track is pretty messy and
It had a
disconcerting.
really nice atmosphere.
How do you feel about it?
I didn't like it.
I thought it was one of the weaker songs on the album. I thought it had a cool
I'm not
atmosphere.
saying it was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm just saying compared to the previous
Yes.
4, which I think were all incredible,
It had a
it
cool atmosphere
drops.
and
Me-
interesting sounds, but it didn't go.
it didn't go anywhere.
When I was trying to like compartmentalize the song, I started to feel sick because I just couldn't do it. Everything was happening, and I was like, I don't know where the fuck I am anymore.
I think I know why. The synth notes, I'm pretty sure, are just random.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's because I hadn't slept for many days when I listened to it.
Nah,
No.
it's not that. There were some processed vocals on there, sounded wicked. There were some synths on there that sounded wicked.
There was a telephone ringing.
There was a metronome that seemed to go on throughout the whole track.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
kind of weird. But yeah, it was good. And
No,
the bass sample in that
The
was
bass
good.
was one of my favourites
Okay.
ones. It was like this, had this big round kind of reverb sound to it. Unlike some of the other tracks where some of the bass sounds quite aggressive. But
But it seemed to just be. It had a music video as well.
did it? Sorry, did it?
Yeah, released by the record label on their YouTube channel.
Shit.
It has a music video, and it's
Odd.
well, if they're choosing this as like a
Yeah.
single,
Yeah. That's
I
odd.
wouldn't have done that. it doesn't come across in any way as being more accessible than other tracks or better than other tracks. So it's an odd choice.
Knowledge.
And
Action.
We're fucking good today. We're on it, you know?
very Brian Eno, this this song.
Yeah, this was really cool.
It had not a lot going on in it, but it used very minimal sounds in a very interesting way.
Really
There was this kind of like relentless and frenzied beat with lots of tribal sounding drumming
the
on
rhythms. There was lots of polyrhythms going on here, and they were cool as...
Oh, this is the one with the African dude, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool as hell.
Yeah.
It's like
Long
speaking
song.
about countries and actions and condemnation between Africa, Cuba, South Africa, and African countries.
It's interesting as well because it's
America.
sort of fitting the thing of it. He's kind of just like telling you stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really like singing or telling a story. He's just
It's just
sort
a
of
news
explaining
reporter.
Stuff.
It's like a news reader. Sounds like.
Yeah, it's cool.
Anything else got to say about that song?
No, next song.
Heart of Stillness. Heart of Stillness. James.
Heart of Stillness.
Heart of Stillness, I thought personally was the worst song on the album.
I said another kind of drunk beat from Savant.
For me, it was too subtle. I mean, when you're doing a style like this, which is you're having not much going on, but everything needs to be interesting, work well with it the whole time, I felt as though it was a bit too subtle and
Not
not
enough
a lot,
is happening.
Not enough was happening. And it was 7 minutes and 18
Some of the songs
seconds.
on here are undeservedly long.
Undeservedly long.
This song sounded
percussive
like
sounds,
it sounded
though.
like rainfall to me. A lot of these like percussive sounds. In it.
And there was also definitely like the sound of someone stirring some drink or something,
Yeah.
like a spoon in some tea.
Oh, I'm real thirsty now.
And it was it got annoying. It got annoying, but it wasn't a bad song.
Well, have you ever tried doing the stationary dance?
I like
No.
this song. I like this song a lot.
but I did.
It's
like
a
this
more
song lot.
steady beat on this track
Yeah.
with
Fat,
some nice slap bass
popping
loop.
bass. It was well good.
Say that again.
Fat, popping bass.
Nice.
Is
I
it
like
buttery
that.
biscuit bass?
Something like
There's a lot of plosions.
This
there,
is
even.
definitely probably the most accessible.
Yes.
You could give this to almost anyone, they'd be like, "Yeah, I can enjoy this."
The synth.
I mean, people that are into that kind of music.
the synth and the vocal samples really reminded me a lot of Boards of Canada. And there wasn't really enough going on with the beat for it to be Boards of Canada-ish because it was just to kind of dull that beat, which is weird because all the beats have been insane on the other songs.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
But
why
I
is
thought
only...
the drums were really nice on this. They wasn't as interesting percussion-wise as the
tasteful.
rest, but they were like big. They were all good.
And it had like a really
it was-
funky
it had a
keyboard
funky
thing
rhythm,
at the
yeah.
end.
Sensible.
And sensible music.
Sensible music. I love this track.
Really cool atmosphere.
It was
It's-
real chill,
Yes.
real minimal.
I feel like there's so much happening in it though.
Very subtle keyboard,
Yeah.
very subtle pads. But for me, again, I think it was just a bit too subtle for
I
me.
thought
Oh,
with
for me,
this,
I
I
loved
felt there was so much going on within the sounds that I really got into this. It's such a big, nice, full atmosphere, and you're just sitting there, just like all of these things are doing all these things.
There's this drone
Things.
that's from the beginning to the end. There's this drone, and the drone just kind of evolves and changes, and it's so sleepy and chilled and fucking dreamy as fuck, and it's just good. Just go and listen to it. Sensible music. For once, it was sensible. That's why I liked it.
Deceit in Passion, the second Deceit song.
I'm gonna make something up here and say and define the synth in this song as throaty,
Okay.
guttural.
Mm.
It had this weird timbre to it.
Ooh.
I loved it. I didn't love the song. I loved
Yeah.
the synth.
Yeah.
I didn't like this one very much.
It was
Nah, I thought
upbeat
the
and it had a
song
good
was great.
foundation for further progression, but unfortunately, I'm pretty sure this is somewhere around the time in which we're listening to unreleased tracks.
No. That only comes in Facility.
In Facility?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. But you feel dumb, but now don't you? With
No,
capital
not
B.
necessarily, because I thought that this album was the album which was originally taken
Yeah.
from 1980, whatever it was,
Hmm.
plus some unreleased stuff, plus some stuff taken off of his like debut EP. That is what I was told by the record label that released it. And this song, it just feels as though it's kind of not finished. and it's short.
I disliked the drums immensely. I thought they sounded bad. I didn't like the beat. I'm gonna move straight along to fucking the radio.
I thought exactly the same. I thought it was very minimal, a bit boring at times. There was nothing new after the first minute, and it was only like 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Precise.
Ooh.
2 minutes and 44 seconds long, and that makes me think,
Yeah.
it's not finished.
If it wasn't interesting in those 2 minutes 44 seconds,
I thought there were some cool sounds going on in this though. I thought some of the cool big distorted sounds and the radio static stuff was kind of interesting. I didn't think it was a great song, but I thought there was enough interesting stuff going on here that I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would rate it a 5. I wouldn't say it was bad, but it's really nothing.
I thought some of the big distorted sounds were kind of cool.
Oh, are you guys talking about the radio?
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked this one.
Kind of sort of Paul Robinson-y, big distorted sounds.
This was like listening to early creepy dubstep, like listening to Superfly by Scream. It had some of those big sounds, kind of very atmospheric.
If it had more constant sort of drum and bass thing, I could definitely.
Yeah.
Facility. Track 12.
Nicely progressive, this one.
Very progressive.
Yeah, it just had like a minimalist ambient house feel to it.
Yeah.
Cool bass.
And that's all there is to really say about it.
No, it was like a drone sound all the way through. But it progressed with that sound, as well as having some really nice percussion with it.
I really liked this song.
And there was some really dissonant like backing sound effects that were going on as well. I liked it. It was
Yeah,
decent.
I really
It
liked
wasn't
that one.
great.
I thought this
I don't
was
think
great.
it was great.
I thought this one was one of the best in the album, to be honest.
I agree.
Whoa.
I agree.
Falling at 2 speeds.
This one had an awesome atmosphere, but I feel like some of the sounds are a bit too heavy for a bit too long. The bass pad in particular, I think gets a bit overbearing after a while. You're sitting there and it's just constant like big, really low down bass notes, and I think it gets a bit too much where I'm like, I feel like my ears are a bit hurting now.
I didn't like this one very much.
This was my least favourite on the album.
It was so ambient, with just very sporadic, isolated sounding drum flurries,
Yeah.
which were just a
They
bit
were
too
really big, but they came out
For
of
no
nowhere
reason, yeah.
for no reason. Didn't add much.
much. I think that song and the last song on the album go together. They're very similar.
Yeah.
And that I feel.
I thought that the last song was a lot better.
I thought the last one was a lot better.
Yeah, but like think about it like this. I think they both sound like they should be like a score or a soundtrack.
Yeah,
something.
they sound very soundtracky. Yeah.
Could be.
I was going to say that about Falling at 2 Speeds. I feel like the place it would work was with a film.
Yeah.
If the drums had maybe reasons to come within the film or something, or if it's just like building up tension, it's just like every now and again sort of thing. Like,
So
I
for
think
the
it
final
could
track,
work.
Fault Index,
Mm.
I thought it was good. Like
I thought it was
there
really
were a
good.
lot of atmospheric layering.
The drums
effects
were
slow-
going
nice
on.
the
slow
drums
beat.
were very different in this one, I feel.
Yeah, very simple,
They sounded very
Very simple.
recorded in this one.
and they only came in like halfway through the song.
This one, I think they definitely sounded recorded because they had so much reverb on them. You could like hear the room in those drums.
And the synth work was good throughout the song.
Yeah, it was decent.
And again, a lot of like dissonant stuff going on.
Yeah. I'm not
Short
sure.
bass samples, kind of weird.
I'm not sure how I liked this song as an outro to the album. I felt kind of
Yeah,
disjointed from the rest
I
of the
didn't
album.
feel as though it was much of an outro.
But I don't think there was much structure within this album at all.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like it was
Again,
just a lot of
I
interesting
think it's
songs going on.
because it's not a full album.
Yeah, it's sort of
It's
a
like,
collection of stuff.
as I described earlier,
It's like a
it's like
compilation.
a deluxe reissue of an album.
Mm.
But
So favourite tracks, guys, from this album?
Shadow and Deceit.
Yep.
The Neo-Realist. Facility and Sensible Music.
Okay. I'm just going to go with Neo-Realist, Sensible Music, and Facility. Yeah.
using words,
Yeah?
Indifference,
Yeah.
the Neo-Realist,
Mm-hmm.
Shadow in Deceit, and Stationary Dance.
Okay. Okay. I feel as though you guys shouldn't just, like, name half fucking albums when you guys talk about favourite songs.
It's only 4 songs. I put 5 actually. But
That's still like a third of the album.
It's too much.
Not too much.
Too much.
no, I disagree.
What do you want to give scores, Gareth, out of 10?
I'd say a 7.
7?
I was really wanting to give this album an 8
Same.
until the last half of it, where I was like, it's kind of just falling off.
I wanted to give it an 8, but it doesn't go enough places.
I think
It's
the
too much
original
of a
album, probably an 8. Maybe a 7. I think this, it's a strong 6, light 7. I'm going to give it a light 7.
That's fair.
I'm going to give this album a strong 6. That's all from us here at the Sonic Squeeze today. We've been talking about Artificial Dance by Savant. Please press that little like button if you like the video, and subscribe if you want to see some more of us, guys. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.
Predictions.
I
thought you would give this a 6.
Oh, I did.
I thought James wouldn't like this as much. I thought he'd give it a 5.
It's like you just don't know me.